Welcome back to our Flutter Chat app tutorial series. In today's episode, we are diving into the core functionality of our chat application by implementing the chat services. We will send and receive messages, set up the chat interface, and discuss the chat page code. So let's get started. From the last videos, we were working with the Firebase host, and yeah, we are done with the Firebase auth now, so we will just move towards our chat services from now. So for the chat services, I will be just creating a new directory here in my services and will name it chat. And in the chat directory, I will be just creating a new file which will be our chat services. And from here we will be just writing code about our chatting, so how a user can send a message and how a user can receive the messages. So let's just begin by writing or by creating the chat services class. So basically this class will be extended with the change notifier, because we will be getting this class services basically in the chat page uh, of our application. So we can access the whatever services, whatever functions we create in this class. So this class functions or the methods should be accessible into our chat page using the provider state management. So I will be just creating a chat services class here, and I'll be just extending it with change notifier. Great. So basically I'll be just logging in into my account. I'll be signing in, and yeah, we will get the users, available users in our home page. And when I click uh, in the title of the user's email address, we will be just redirected to the chat page. So now I want the interface. So if a user should be able to send a message, so if a message has been sent, so all the messages should be seen in this interface or in this view. So I will be just going to my chat page later on. So first of all, I will be just creating my chat services. How can we send a message and store it in our Pirate Store, and how can we get them back and show them on the screen? So let's just begin with our chat services. So first I will be just defining the send messages. So how can a user send a message? So basically I will be just defining send messages function here, which will be a future function, future, and type of void, and I'll be just naming it send message. And the send message will be just uh, it will just take two parameters basically, to whom the user is sending the message, or what is the actual message the user want to send it. So there it will be the receiver id, receiver id, and the message. So basically it will be async function because it is a future function. So I'll be just making it async using the keyword async. So yeah, so first of all we will just get the current user information, get the info information of the current users, because we want to also ensure and just uh, create the database of both of them, so we can make the fair of the chat. So we will initialize the chat room ID by using the both receiver and using the sender ID. So here we will be just getting the current user information, so I'll be just using final string current user ID. So how can we get the current user information? So if a user is logged in, so we can get the current user information by the Firebase auth. So let's just initialize Firebase auth first. Firebase auth, which will be the final, and I'll be just using Firebase auth is equal to Firebase instance. Here you go, we have just created the Firebase auth instance here. So now we can get the current user information by using the Firebase instance. So basically it is we will be using the Firebase auth dot current user, which will be current user ID and which will be UID. uh, Great. So now we also need the current user email, final string, and which will be current user email is equal to Firebase dot current user dot email, and I'll be just adding the null check here, and I'll make it to string basically. So yeah, great. Now I'll be making this also to string. Great, we have just got the current user ID and current user email and stored it in our variable. So what is the next? So we also need to uh, mention the time when or what time a user has sent the message and what time the data has been stored into our file store. So we can just use the timestamp here. Time stamp, which will be timestamp is equal to timestamp now. So whenever user clicks on the button, send button, so whatever time will be, so it will be just stored on that time. Basically this is the timestamp. So now we also want to store the message into our file store. So when user clicks on the send button, whatever message will be on the text form field, all the message which are sent will also be stored in our file store. So we need to also make an instance of our file store, which will be fire Firebase Firestore, which will be Firestore is equal to Firebase Firestore instance, and that's it. So we have got our current user information, and now we will be just creating a new message. So create a new message, so which will be we will be just creating a model uh, for how can we just get the messages. So yeah, let's just create a model first, which will we will be just creating a model. Basically we will be just creating a new folder in our lib directory, which will be model. So yeah, in the model directory I'll be just creating my message model here basically. From this model we can be able to create a message and map it into our database. So let's just begin by creating a new dart file from here, which will be the message dot dart. And yeah, now I'll be just creating a class, name it message. So here basically what we will be uh, needing, so what we require to send a message basically. So we need a sender ID, the sender email, and the receiver ID, and a message and the timestamp. Basically to send a message we require these. So let's just create them, which will be final string sender ID and final string the sender email, final string receiver ID, and the timestamp also, which time a user has sent the message. Basically we also require a timestamp here. So here we need a sender who can send a message, the sender email, by using which email user is sending a message and to whom the user is sending the message, and what is the actual message and which time user is sending the message. So yeah, we will be just creating the constructor of our class, which is message, and we will be just making all of them required. So we will be just quick fix and add the final fields basically. So let's just required this dot sender ID, required this dot sender email, required this dot receiver ID, required this dot message, and the last, which will be our timestamp, this dot timestamp. So yeah, great. So we are done with our constructor, and now we will be just converting this into a map. So convert, which is map, and the type of map will be string, and dynamic to map sender ID is basically the sender ID, and the sender email will be the sender email, the receiver ID will be the receiver ID, and the message will be the message, and the last timestamp, the timestamp will be the timestamp basically. Timestamp. Great. Now we are done with creating the message model. Basically, what message model will do, so we can save the messages and convert the all the things into a map by using this model, and we can save it into our database, and we can also retrieve it from the database by using this model. So let's just go back to our chat services again, and now we will be just creating the new message. So basically we will be just creating a new instance of our message, so which will be message new message. So basically I will be just importing it is equal to message, which now it requires all of them. So let's just provide them. So we have already created the user ID, so let's just provide it here, the current user email, which is this, and that's it. Now we are done with creating a new message. So we also need to store this message into our Firebase or the Fire Store. So let's just check it. uh, how can we do that? So first of all, we will be just checking if the current user is not the receiver ID. These both are not equal, then just store the messages into our database. So yeah, condition if current ID is not equal to receiver ID. So if current user ID not equal to receiver ID, then just store them into our Firebase. Adding a new message to the database. So we will be just also creating the, so we have already created it, so yeah, we are good to go. So let's just store the data into our Firebase. So I'll be just using the await function, so it will take some time. So we will be using the await, and we will be using the file store instance we have just created, and I'll be just creating a collection here, and the collection name will be the chat room basically. So in whatever conversation will be stored in our database, the collection name will be chat room. And we will also create a document. So what will be the name of the document? So I'll be just chat room ID. So yeah, but before doing this, we will be just construct a chat room from current user ID and receiver ID. So we can get the chat room ID. So yeah, let's just do that. We will be just using construct chat room ID from the current user ID and the receiver ID. So we will just make sure that both of the receiver user ID and the current user ID should be merged, and which will be making a unique ID that will be our chat room ID. So all of them users should whenever the user clicks on the chat, so basically all the chats will be available in their chat room ID. So yeah, let's just do that. So how can we do that? So I'll be just creating a list basically here, which will be the string, and I'll be just getting the both IDs, uh, which will be the current user ID and the receiver user ID, and I'll be just sorting them. So we will sort the IDs. This ensures the chat room ID is always the same for any two pair of two people. So that is the reason we are sorting them. And we will be just merge them, and basically we will join them using IDs to join with uh, which will be a string chat room ID is equal to IDs dot join with this underscore. Basically we are doing, and we are just joining both of them IDs, and if this is ID number one and this is ID number two. So basically we are just doing this and making a unique chat room ID for both users. So basically this is the current ID. Assume that this is the current ID and this is the receiver ID, and this ID is join is doing basically adding a underscore and joining both the IDs. So yeah, we are done by creating a chat room ID here. So now we will be just going back to our um, Firestore, so we can just also add a collection of our chat room ID, and which will be messages. The collection name should be messages, and we can add new messages basically, which we are creating it here. And it is a map, so we can use our map basically, which we have just created. And great, we are good so far by storing a message, and we can also write a message for getting the messages from the Firestore. So let's just also write that, which will be getting messages from the Firestore. Basically it is, so now here we will be just using the stream to get the messages from the Firestore. So I'll be just using the stream, which will be query type of query snapshot, and we will be just creating a function here which will be get messages. And what messages we will be just getting is string user ID and the other user ID. Basically this user ID basically will be our current user ID, and this other user ID is the receiver ID. Basically we will be just getting it. So we will also doing the same thing which we have done here. So I'll be just copying this all the code from here, and I'll be just pasting it in my get messages function. And I'll be just changing these, which is user ID, this user ID, and the other user ID they will be the receiver ID. And good, now we will just get the messages, whatever messages are stored in our Firebase, which will be we will be just calling our instance or Firebase for Firestore instance, and we will be just getting the collection, and the collection was chat room, and the document name was basically chat room ID, and the chat room collection was the messages. We will be also getting that. We will just make it order by, so the order should be from the timestamps, and which will be ascending in ascending order, and we will be just making this descending to false, so it should give the messages in the ascending order, which will be a snapshot. I'll be saving this, and yeah, there you go, we are done by creating ascending message and storing them in our Firestore. And we will also be, we have just created another function so we can also get the messages from our Firestore. So yeah, we are done with the chat services for now, and we will be just moving towards our chat page. So in the chat page we will just do all the magics. So yeah, we have already just created this title. When we click on the user's email address, so the title will be shown on the header title. So that's it, that's great. Now we will be just creating and designing the chat page basically. So we need a text form field and a button here, so we will be just making that. So I will be needing a text controller, which will be final text editing controller, and this will be the message controller. And now I'll be just creating the chat services instance and the Firebase auth instance here, so we can access the chat services in this class. Final chat services, which is equal to chat services, chat services. Great. Now I'll be also creating the Firebase auth instance. So great. Now we will be just creating the function or the method which we will be able to send a message basically. So let's just create that, which will be a void function, and I'll just name it send message. So here I will be just adding some conditions. If the text controller is empty, so we should not send a message. So here the basic condition will be the message controller dot text is not empty, so let's just send a message, which will be await chat services, and we will call the send messages which we have just created in our uh, chat services class basically. So yeah, now we need a receiver ID, where we will be just getting it from above, which is this receiver ID. We will be just clicking widget dot receiver ID, and the message which we are be getting from our message controller text. Great. So we also need to clear the controller basically when the message is sent, so the controller should be clear also. So clear the controller, message controller dot clear, and that's it. So yeah, now let's just move towards the designing phase. So how can we just design this page and show the messages from a user, and how can we send a message? So let's just design that part. So great, now we will be just moving towards the scaffold body, and in the body I will be just creating hub, which will be the build message list, and I'll be just returning the stream here. From the stream we will be just getting our get messages method, so we were getting in our chat services. So I'll be just providing the stream. We will be just basically returning the stream builder, and in the stream part, oh sorry, I'll be just creating this build. So basically we need in our body part column, or in the upper part all the messages should be shown, and in the bottom our text form field should be visible to write messages or into a button to send the messages. So for that we will be just using a big column here, which will be the children, and in the children part we will be just doing we will be just show a simple function. So I'll be just creating it out of the class to just organize my code. For that we will be just creating it in a second, which will be message list, and I'll be just creating it. And the other part, which will be the user input, and I'll be also creating it outside of this body part to just clean the code, and the code should be much more readable. So that is the reason I'll be just writing both of these function outside of my body. So yeah, now let's just create the message list, build message list here. So I'll be just using the widget to just create a custom widget here. which will be my this build, and here I'll be just returning basic stream builder, which will be stream builder. And in the stream part I will be just using my chat services instance to get the get messages function, which we have just created in our chat services, which will be the chat services. Basically this is chat services, and we will be just getting the get messages, and in the get messages we will be just adding our widget dot receiver uh, user ID and the and the current user ID basically. So which will be the what was the instance, let's just check it, which was Firebase auth, which is Firebase auth dot current user and the UID, and we will just add the null check safety to ensure that we are good to go. So yeah, now in the builder part, so why we are getting this error, the method get changes is not defined the type of chat services. So what was, let's just check it what we have. Yeah, we have the get messages, so why we are getting the error basically. So yeah, I'll be just saving this from here. So yeah, we have just made a mistake, so we have added our get messages into our send messages function. So let's just remove it from here and just add it here basically. Yeah, now we will be just doing good. So yeah, now we will be just going back to our chat page and just implement our design. So how can we just get our messages from here? So yeah, now we have just added the user receiver user ID and the current user ID, and we have just used the builder. So in the builder we will be just checking some random conditions. If it is error, show error message on the screen. If the state is loading, just show loading. So let's just do that. If snapshot dot has error, so let's just return const text error basically. Let's just do it. Else if snapshot dot current state is equal to connection state dot waiting, so let's just return a text which will be loading basically. Now in the else part we will be just returning a list view, return list view, and in the list view we will be just ensuring that our data is basically coming in the form of map. So we will be just using the children, and in the children we will be just snapshot. So basically we will be just getting our data from the database, which will be data and docs, and which will be the map, and basically the type of map will be a widget here. So we will be just adding the document dot docs dot map, which will be the doc document basically, and we will be just returning to our build message item, which will be the individual messages. So we will be also creating that in a separate widget, so just to make our code more cleaner. So yeah, I'll be just heading the build message item, which we will be just taking the document in the parameter, and I'll be just making it to list. So yeah, we will be just creating our build message item just in a second. So yeah, we will be just adding a semicolon here. So great, I'll be just using this. Why it is not working? Yeah, we need to give a null check safety here, and I'll be saving this from here, and we are getting some kind of errors. I'll be saving this. So why it is not refactoring? Basically, yeah, let's just check it. At the top we will be just, yeah, let's just remove this. Yeah, great. Now we will be just creating this function. Basically, just copy this here, and great. Now we will be just creating the build message item, and which will be the widget basically. And yeah, this we will be just taking the document snapshot in our parameter, which will be the document snapshot. And yeah, now here we will be just ensuring that our data is coming in the form of map. So we will be just creating the map string, which will be the dynamic, and the data is equal to document, which will be, we will be getting snapshot document basically, document, and dot data. We will be just we will be just giving the cost as map. So we will be just getting our data in the form of map, which will be a string and dynamic. Great. So after that, let's just um, align our chat application. So if the receiver send a message, it will be just, if the current user send a message, it will be just show this side, and if the receiver with the other user will send the message, it should be shown here. So basically we will be just creating this for alignment here. So what we can do that, so we will be just creating var alignment is equal to data. So if the sender is the current user, so we will be just using the sender id firebase o, which is the current user. If the sender id is equal to the current id user, so yeah, if the sender id is equal to the current user id, then just align all the things in the right. So yeah, we will be just doing that. Great. Now let's just align it dot center right. So if else, do it in the center left. Great. Now yeah, we are so far good, and I'll be just returning a container here basically. So which will be, in this container we will be just returning, in the child part we will be just returning a column. So we will be just seeing the sender email and the text under that. So which will be, we will be just getting it from a column widget here. Basically in the children part we will be just adding her text widget, and we will be just getting the data, which will be the email, sender email, and that's it. So yeah, now we will be just designing our text form field and her button. So we will be just creating our this build a message input in a separate widget. So basically we will be just creating that here, which will be the build message input, and we will be just wrapping this into her row, because we want a text form field and a button just on the left side of that. So we will doing it return row, and in the children part we will be just adding the text form field, basically text form field, and we will be just using my text form field, which we have just created in our component part. So in the hint section we will be just giving a int send your message, and the obscure text will be false, so we don't want to make it obscure. So what will be the container, which will be the messages controller, and I'll be just saving this, basically getting some kind of errors. Yeah, so now we will be just creating a simple button for sending our message. So what will be, we will be using the sending button, and we will be creating a icon button, basically, which we will be just getting the on function from here, and which will be the send message we have just created, and the icon will be icons dot up arrow. Great, now I'll be just making this const and save this, and let's see what we will see. So we are getting some kind of basically overflow issue. So let's just wrap our text form field to expanded widget. So whatever available space are, so we need to cover, we will just tell that to cover them whole, so which will be the expanded text, basically. So let's just refresh it again, and yeah, it is at the upside. So let's just uh, bring it into the downside. So I'll be just check the alignment section here. From here we will be just checking it, and we will be just wrapping this list widget into basically into her expanded widget. So we will be just giving it flex 2, so it will just cover all the spaces from here, and just give it a similar section to our this text form field, which will be expanded. Great, so now from here we are done. So let's just send a message, hi. So basically there is no message being shown, but the email address is uh, being appear on our chat section. So but it is in the middle, so we don't need it in the middle. So if the current user is sending, so the message should be here, and the receiver, when the receiver opens the chat, this text should move here basically. So yeah, now we will be just going to create some kind of bubbles for our chat application to decorate. So we will be just moving. So basically I have already created a chat bubble, so I will be just showing my chat bubble. So what I have just created a stateless class and just provided two message sections, so we will be just getting them dynamically. So we will be just providing it here, and we will be just changing the message and its color, bubble color basically. So we have just used a container here and gave it some kind of radius, and we have used the box decoration and provided the color, whatever color we have, we will be getting it from here. We will just provide it, and whatever message we will be getting it from here, so we will be just providing that. So yeah, let's just move to our chat page again. So we will be just showing the messages. So basically it is the here we can just do that. We will just, and here in the container we will be just using the alignment, and we will provide our this alignment to our this container basically. And yeah, our just chat, our email just went to the left center basically. So that's it, we want um, just that. So we will be just also giving the cross axis alignment to our cross axis alignment, when we will be just checking some kind of conditions, which will be data, and if the sender ID basically is equal to the Firebase host, the current user ID, UID, and I'll be just making some kind of checks here. Then just make it cross axis alignment into the end, and else if it is not the current user, just make it cross the axis alignment to the center basically. Great, now we will be just showing the message also. So we will be just showing the message, what how we will be just um, getting a condition basically, which will be data again, and the sender ID is equal to current ID, which is the Firebase of current dot UID, and I'll be just adding a null check here. So if it is the current ID, just show the bubble which we have just created, chat bubble, and just show the message, which message we want to show. We will be just showing the message which is coming from our database, which is message, and what color we need to provide. We will be just providing it deep purple color, dot deep purple, and yeah, else chat bubble, the message will be the coming from also from the database, which will be data message, and the color will be the blue, colors dot blue. So yeah, great, now we have just sent our message, that is a hello, and we will be just opening our this user. We will be just going back and log out from this, and just log in norman at gmail.com, and just ensure that our messages are being received from that user or not. So I'll be signing, and we will be just going to the below div, and great, we are seeing the messages hello. So here we have a small bug, and we are getting it. but how can we resolve this? So let's just check it out why we are getting this kind of error. So let's just check it. If sender user id is equal to current user id, just do this, and if not, do that. So we are also not getting it. So yeah, I have just restarted my application, and now it is working fine. So in this episode we have implemented the chat services, making our application fully functional. Users can send and receive messages, um, creating a real-time chat experience. If you want to see us explore Firebase push notifications in our chat application, please comment below. Your feedback and requests are valuable to us. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more exciting episodes. Stay tuned for the next episode where we might dive into Firebase push notifications. Thanks for joining us today, and we will see you in the next tutorial. Until then, happy coding with Flutter.